God damn, Craig is fucking loud.
Not for me. I had him turned down.
Yeah, it's harder for me to turn him down on mobile. But that's just how it be. Alright, Mike, let's fucking do this.
It's the Internet Bum Show.
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 Alright, Mike, it's just you and me today. Reaper's out. He's gotta get up at fucking 5 in the morning for his job. AJ's sick with a stomach bug. And our guest is down for the count as well for this week. So, it's you and me. We've done this before. We can do it again. How you doing?
Doing good. Back after a whole visit up to see family, my nephew and everything. The lovely child that had his times of being annoying, but it was good. Got to go paddleboarding and stuff with my wife, and it was a really good time.
Good. Where did you visit at?
Up North Vancouver Island, where my family, where I grew up, and went out to lakes and stuff like that, because there's a lot of outdoor exploration up there, and yeah, spent basically a whole week up there.
Gotcha. So, I have an update from our last episode where we talked about AI, and I heard a couple stories that I wanted to share with you. Remember when I was talking about how much people are actually starting to get scared of how realistic AI is getting, and how you can't even tell what's real and what's fake?
Yeah.
There was a story I heard on the news a couple days ago where this woman got a random phone call, and it was her daughter freaking out because she had been kidnapped, and some dude got on the phone and was threatening, the woman's daughter's safety, and was demanding, thousands and thousands of dollars. And he said that, if she went to the police, if she went to the news, anybody, that he was gonna, drug her up, have his way with her, and then kill her. Or dump her in Mexico or something. And the mom is obviously hysterical because, it's her daughter. She can hear her daughter crying in the background over the phone.
Feeling unmistakable to her.
Yeah. And her friend is there, while she's on the phone with these people. And her friend reminds her and goes, "Hey,
isn't your daughter and your husband on a ski trip or something right now?"
And so, that gets her thinking, and she calls her husband, and her daughter keeps calling, tries to get them to pick up, and eventually they do, and everything's fine. Her daughter's completely fine. No one's in any danger or anything. And, her friend is on the phone with 911 while all this is happening, and the police are like,
ma'am, we think you may be, victim of a scam here.
And apparently people are taking voice recordings of people talking and using that to graft a fake voice. Just like how they're doing it with celebrities like Kanye and the presidents, like we talked about before.
And you think Doug did it with Pajama Sam and didn't even have many voice lines from other people, and use those together to make the voice. It's crazy how little voice lines you need to do that with now, where it required a lot before.
Well, yeah, of course. When they were doing the report on the story, one of the people that works for the news team or for the news show went and did an interview with someone who's developed a program that works like that, and it literally only took 10 minutes of voice training to synthesize a voice, and it sounded just like the person that was doing the interview. Mm-hmm. So that it's really getting scary out there. Yeah, if you're listening to this and you receive a phone call from a loved one saying that they're in danger or anything, one of the tips that the news people gave was that you should come up with a safe word for your loved ones. And, make sure it's something that everyone can remember. And if you ever get that phone call, ask for the safe word. If they can't give it to you, it's not the real person. Mm-hmm. On a more lighthearted note, I watched a video maybe an hour before we started the show. There's a new mod for Skyrim where it's got an AI companion, and you can it will listen to your microphone, and you can say stuff to it, and it will read it and respond to it just like ChatGPT would. But it's functioning within Skyrim. It knows stuff about Skyrim. It'll make comments about where you are and what's going on. It's got a little bit of sass, but
crazy someone could get that to function within the actual constraints of Skyrim's development system.
Yeah, true. But one of the points that Asmongold made, which is something I've thought about, with as much AI as I fiddled with in preparation for the last episode, he said that it's combing the internet, and because people are so degenerate and hostile with each other on the internet, it's feeding off of that, and that's where it gets its sass and attitude from. And I couldn't agree more. I mean,
Yeah.
think about that AI that they had for Twitter from a few years ago, and they literally let it loose on Twitter for a day, and it saw all the anti-Semitic and homophobic shit, and it just started talking about like how Hitler was a good guy or whatever.
Yeah, immediately shut that down when that happened. I remember that.
So that leads me into the first segment I had planned for tonight, which is what would Uzi do? So, Mike, I have to ask, what do you think Uzi would do if he got a phone call from one of his loved ones saying they'd been kidnapped?
Ooh, depends on which one. Either a, oh yeah, fuck yeah, right, or a sassing out his sister because like you're just gonna ask me for money again. Yeah, it really depends on who I think the family member is for him.
Yeah, because I feel like some of his family, especially a lot of his friends, would be like, oh well.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just glad it would never be one of us, because he ain't coming to save us. He might come save you. I think he prefers you to me.
I don't know. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and jump into our next segment. This one I've got is let me tell you something, and this is something I've been thinking about for days because it's just I see it a lot, especially in like video games and TV and shit. But it's how people will just use friendly terms in the middle of a hostile setting. Like someone will be walking up to you with a gun pointed at you, getting ready to rob you, and says, "Hey friend, run your pocket." And it's like, motherfucker, you got a gun pointed at me and you about to rob me. Don't call me friend.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Or if they're like, you got another thing coming, pal. Like I don't get the point of using a friendly term in the context of being hostile or just a dick.
I feel like it's a good cop, bad cop, but you're both sides and you're just trying to like use both at once to threaten to both sides of depending on how the person might react.
Maybe, but I mean that's just some that's like trying to apply some intricate psychology into a situation where a person's probably not even going to be thinking that way.
Yeah, and probably more so the case being just because of movies and stuff like that. That's become the thing that aspiring people do.
But it's like a weird pet peeve for me because I don't know. I guess it's just language. Chalk it up to just people speaking. So in tonight's episode, Mike, since we don't have AJ, Reaper, or our guest, I figured it might be fun for us to kind of just go over the history of how we got into YouTube, especially since we've tried to do it 3 times now. So I have to take it all the way back to 2015. I was fresh out of high school. I had met this guy in high school named Jake. And Jake actually saved my life. I'd been getting bullied by this guy at school. He was a senior and I was a freshman, and we had PE class together. And, being a dumb little kid, I decided to try and stand up for myself, and the dude juked my punch and put me in a chokehold and choked me unconscious. It's the only time I've ever been put unconscious in a fight in my life. And obviously, I'm not going to remember what happened while I was out, but Jake and a bunch of the other kids had apparently been beating the hell out of him, trying to kick him and like get him to let me go. So I feel like if it wasn't for their intervention, I might not be here right now. After high school, we started, just hanging out over Xbox and stuff, playing games together. There was this other kid that he knew named Wayne, and we literally just had the idea of trying to do YouTube. It was like the big thing back then. It's still the big thing now. Everybody wants to be a YouTuber. But the problem was that I didn't have my computer working at the time. I was missing parts. It would barely even turn on. So I made a YouTube channel from my phone that just sat dormant for 2 years. And then fast forward to 2016, after I finally got a computer together, after I started meeting people like you and Uzi, John and Christine, and all that. I met y'all through Payday. That was pretty much how I met most of our group. In the very beginning, though, there was just a few of us, and, they told me that, because of how much Payday we played and how many people I knew to pull from when we needed a spot filled. They were like, you should just make a group so people can find each other more easily. So I did, and this was like right after Discord was coming out. It was still hot on the scene and brand new. So I did. I made a Steam group and a Discord server, and we called it the Councilman. Kind of an edgy name based off of just my gamer tag of Council. It was unique. It was edgy, but it was unique, and it was just kind of what we went with. But after some time and realizing that I pretty much spent just about all of my free time with y'all, I was like, let's do YouTube. So after that, we started out with Insurgency. We put some videos of that up. And the videos themselves weren't that great in sense of gameplay just because I was a scrub and just kind of sucked at it. But between the comments that people like Uzi and John would make, and just kind of throwing in some goofy edits, like whether it was fucking saloon style music or a fucking meme or something, I feel like it was above mediocre content. It never went anywhere, even though we did all kinds of stuff. We did like Insurgency, we did Payday 2, we did GTA Online, we even did some Cards Against Humanity, and even tried stuff like TTT and Guild Wars. Never went anywhere. Some time passes by, and in 2017, Jake comes back in to the picture, and he wants to launch that YouTube channel that I set up but never did anything with. So in comes Salty Gamers Incorporated. We put out a few videos. We even had a channel promo at one point, but it was so offensive because of some of the things that Wayne said in it that I had to take it down. It was one of those things where it either would prevent us from becoming big, or once we became big, it would get us knocked back down because we'd get canceled or whatever. And funnily enough, in an attempt to try and like crossbreed between the Councilman and Salty Gamers, I actually had you in a couple of videos, and I had Jake in one of the videos on Councilman.
Yep.
But just like Councilman, Salty Gamers never went anywhere. And then I got the job that I work at with AJ. Some time happens, the COVID-19 pandemic occurs, and I just go through a series of bad mental health episodes. And after I started working, I stopped having as much time for YouTube and, especially hanging out with y'all. So we just kind of drifted apart. Everybody kind of went their separate ways. Drama with some of the people involved kind of didn't help that. And so I was just like, this chapter is over. It's not like I can come back to this. And I just deleted the Councilman channel. One of the biggest mistakes I've made in the last decade, I would say. And I honestly wish I hadn't done that, because even if the videos never got viewed or anything, some of my greatest content that I've made so far is still in the void because of that. Fast forward to 2021, Salty Gamers is on the comeback because Jake is telling me that he wants to try and do that again, so we did. We started out with some stuff like Streets of Rogue, and then incorporated other stuff like Deep Rock Galactic, Ready or Not. We even did a couple of horror games, and that was kind of how I incorporated AJ into the picture. And then, slowly over time, I brought you and Reaper back into the fold, but that never went anywhere either. And then, because of some drama involved with that, Salty Gamers was silently terminated as well. But thankfully, I still have access to those videos.
Yep.
And then here we are in 2023, and this time it was all me. No one was like, hey, you should do YouTube again. No one was like, hey, you should make this channel. This was all me. And I decided that, I wanted to do things my way, and I wanted to more or less coast and just see where things went. Because part of the problem I had back in 2016 when we did YouTube the first time is I wanted to get rich quick and not have to worry about like money or finding a job, because I've got terrible social anxiety, man, and I hate being in public. Like AJ said it best when he was like, I just don't like people. I'm the same way. So I was like, if I could just get good with this YouTube shit and just pair my friend's funny personality with my editing skills, I can ride this boat, catch that wave, and I can make it big. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm satisfied with the job I have. I'm comfortable. I actually enjoy going to work for the most part, and I enjoy the content we make now. It's not the best content. It's not the funniest. There's probably a whole bunch of people that were listening to this before and just kind of shut off by now, and that's understandable. This is a filler episode anyways. But that's just where we're at now. CAMJ was, used to make the name was made from the first initials of each of our names. You got Christian, that's me. AJ, that's A. You got U, Mike for the M, and then we got Reaper's real name, which, out of respect for his privacy and to respect his wishes, I won't give that out, but it starts with a J, so that's where the J comes from. And behold, CAMJ Entertainment. We've been doing the Internet Bum Show for a few weeks now. We got a few episodes out, that's where we're at now. And then, we got that one gaming video out, and I hope to release more, but it's gonna come at a slower pace than what we did before, because back then I was trying to do 2 videos every 2 days. Some people, they like to do a video every day. I like to do 2 videos every 2 days, because I felt like that would give me more time to kind of try to put some effort into the content and still get it out at a rate that would be satisfactory for people that want to keep coming back for content. Because it's like with good content, sometimes it comes at a price. Sometimes you'll really enjoy somebody's content because it takes time and effort, but because it takes that time and effort, you might not see an upload for a month or a few months. Some people are so good and they got so much money that they can just keep recording content, and they have a crew of people to keep editing it for them so they can keep making content, and everyone just maintains a schedule. That's not us. I want to make somewhat decent content, and I want it to be something I can look at and say I'm proud of, and I don't have all the time in the world, which is why it takes 2 weeks to get an episode of the Internet Bum Show together. But yeah, that is kind of how we got from where we are to here over the last 8 years. And Mike's been there since pretty much day one almost.
Yeah. I was saying, and here we are, but I muted because I coughed for some food. But that's not something I necessarily expected to be doing, because I didn't think I'd be caring about podcast stuff, but you asked me and I was all for it, and so I'm up for doing chill recordings with that.
Well, I think out of all the people I've worked with, you've actually been there the most, because you were in the GTA videos, you were in the TTT, you were in the Insurgency videos.
Yeah.
You were in some of the Payday videos, you were in our Deep Rock Galactic videos, you've been in... Well, you haven't done Streets of Rogue videos with us yet, but that's on the horizon, especially as Streets of Rogue 2 comes out.
Yeah. Oh, yep.
It's crazy when I look back sometimes, just knowing how much time and effort has been put in just to start all over again twice. But,
yeah, it is kind of crazy, honestly, thinking about all that.
Yeah, especially because with that first channel, that stuff is never going to come back. I'm lucky to have the 2 videos that I had somehow had backed up from that. There's always the future. You should never give up hope and keep working towards your goals. One of the things I've heard people say over and over again is, if you get into YouTube, you need to do it because you want to, not because of the money. Because it's only the people that do it for fun that end up being successful.
Or really know how to game the system. It's either one or the other. And you really need to game the system if you're going to do that and be committed to that side, from what I've seen.
No, we'll Photoshop AJ's head onto some busty woman, just put titties in every thumbnail. That's how we game the system.
True. These big facts. Just don't be male.
Yeah. We need to get women. CAMJ needs women.
CAMJW.
There you go. CAMJW, I like that. That's the name of the episode. Thanks for that, Mike.
I just skipped over the A. I just realized.
CMJ. Fuck AJ. CWMJ. Christian Women Mike J Entertainment.
You are listening to the Internet Bum Show, presented by CAMJ Entertainment. Like and subscribe for future episodes and other content featuring the cast here and more. Back to your hosts.
Let's get into our next segment before I start getting sentimental again.
Alright.
So, Catastrophic Wingmen. If you don't remember from the last episode, Mike, Catastrophic Wingmen. I wanted AJ to be here for this so we could get good and bad advice, but we're just going to settle for bad advice. like I told you
Okay.
before we started recording, I actually feel a little bad. I mean, it's really, you know what? Fuck it. Let's hear good and bad advice, just to kind of keep us a little closer, to not going to hell. So the post on Reddit that I've pulled, and for privacy's sake, I'm not gonna say the user name from the post or anything. It says, I've just found out my partner of 2 years cheated on me. That makes 5 long-term relationships in a row. Is there anything I can do to avoid this happening again?
Jeez.
Um, I'll do the bad advice because I honestly, I don't even know what it's like to be cheated on. I've been in a love triangle relationship before, but I've never been like cheated on in a way it was like where they did it behind my back and I didn't know.
Mhm.
But I would say, just fucking get rich. Get rich, don't be ugly, and have a fucking 12-inch penis, and she'll never cheat on you again. Because if you got a 12-inch penis and you're not ugly, then she can't cheat on you because you're not attractive. And if you're rich, well then you have her money problems sorted out. And don't be a douchebag, because if you're a piece of shit, women don't like that. Unless she's got like some fucking wires crossed, and then maybe you should fucking. No, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna be the one that gets canceled. Mike, give some good advice. Clean this up.
My brain's still quickly on what you were saying because of us dropping Megan off or picking Megan up yesterday actually, and there's this like guy in this like high hatchback trunk like car, like pretty decently high end car, just with the girl like laid over his lap in the front seat, like right in the open of like the whole like upper roof parking lot, and I'm just like, man, you lose that money or car or anything, that girl's gone. Like they ain't for you, they for everything around you.
Was he like a homely looking man or something? Like, was he ugly?
No, he looked like a douchebag. That's all. He's just the kind of person that's like he probably would still have the looks after, but that definitely only gives off the vibe about other people caring for the money wise.
It goes back to she's a 10, but she's only with you for the money.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Mike. So how can we help our unnamed friend here who keeps getting cheated on by women?
Find better women. Actually, find your standards and not just settle. I feel like all the time. Then, if that's the case.
I would love to think that since these have been long-term relationships, he isn't settling, but because it keeps happening and it's happened to him 5 times,
Yeah, exactly.
he has to be settling.
Settling or just very naive and not realizing that, oh, hey, this person's not with you for a reason that they actually care.
Yeah, no kidding. So speaking of she's a 10 butt, our next segment here is can you smash that? The game works as simple as I'll tell you she's a 10 butt and she's got a negative quality. So naturally that kind of lowers the score a little bit. But the trick with the game is you have to tell what it would take for you to, be with that woman either romantically or sexually, despite that negative quality.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a few different ones here. They vary in, atrocities and negative quality. So the first one I've got here is she's a 10, but she will only smash if you get her pregnant. What would it take for you to willingly give her that baby batter?
Oh, that I don't know. Shit, that's a tough one.
I mean, like, I feel like for a lot of people that are financially stable, they're like, okay, sure, I've always wanted children. But then, of course, there's people that aren't ready for children yet, or simply just don't want kids. Or
That's
maybe
me.
they got too
There you
damn
go.
many.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't want kids. And so I'm like, damn, that's still pretty up there. But I just don't know if I can commit to that in any reason, really. I need to be extremely financially stable and have like an actual place to live so that I know
That you
that
have living
I have
space
that.
for them and that they're taken care of.
Yeah, and then like I am not as worried about me having to be there for them plus doing all this stuff. So like
You would want to Mr. Sheffield it from the nanny where you're barely in your children's lives and the nanny just takes care of everything.
yeah, I guess.
That's fair.
I don't know
For-
if I'd want to do that. If I was committing to it, I would have them as a kid. I just do not want to have one. But if I had to have one, I would commit to it.
I've always been on the fence about whether I wanted children or not. Like the self-deprecating side of me says that one of me in the world is bad enough, but another part of me is like, it would be not necessarily cool, but interesting to see a young life form that you helped create, develop, and grow up.
Mm-hmm. Like after having my nephew and taking care of him, I'm just like, I don't know if I necessarily. I'm like, I really like. I don't want to have a kid, but again,
Well, some people
I really
are
have to.
like that. Like they look at their nieces and nephews and they almost treat them like they're their own.
I love being around him. He's great, but I just don't. It makes me. I only want to be there for that time of like being with him, but not be that parent the whole time.
I think that's understandable. I think for me, I would have to have one irrefutable proof that the woman I'm having a relationship with is not going to, like, the relationship isn't going to sour or anything. Because two of my best friends growing up, I watched one of them go through two different divorces between their parents, and it was just awful. One of them being far more recent. And then the other one, their parents have been in crazy on again, off again relationships throughout the last decade. And I've
Mm-hmm.
seen what it's done to each of them respectfully. And I just like, I wouldn't want to ever put my child through the turmoil of watching their parents separate or get divorced or anything like that. Like, I guess if it's a civil separation where it's just, we agree that we're not right for each other, but we're not like fucking trying to fuck the other one over. I guess that's okay, but that's still kind of weird. And it's got to be like one of the things I've always imagined is it's got to be tough getting the kid back and forth if they have joint custody.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it's like if you're just in a happy relationship, your kid lives in the same household as you, everyone's happy in the same household. Because aside from the awkwardness and the negative impacts of separation, you're paying for that kid is going to have to live in two households. You have to pay for the gas and time that it takes to get them back and forth and all that. I mean, fucking teleportation ain't here yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other thing that I would have to have is that like you said, I would have to be able to have a stable situation where I could take care of the child and, raise them properly. But I feel like that would probably be 99% of people's answers. So the next one I have here is she's a 10, but she's anti-video games and physically abuses you if she catches you playing them. And no, you cannot hide them from her.
I don't know if that's ever happening, just because that's what I do to relax, and if I'm already not able to relax, plus the stress of if trying to do it.
Yeah, because I mean, part of the stipulation is that no matter what you do, she will always find out.
At that point, if
'Cause
I
I mean-
had to be in it, I would just kind of commit and just be like, okay, whatever, hit me, yeah. I'm just gonna keep playing games.
Just develop a fetish for it.
Exactly, or just immunity, either one of the two, and that's good enough for me. But I
Be
think
like, it'd be like
I just
Flats from
probably wouldn't.
SpongeBob, where they go to hit you, and it feels like a squeaky toy.
Yeah, if I had to, that's what I'd probably do, but I would not want to get in that situation. So no.
I think that I might be able to tolerate it, but part of it would be I'd have to find interest in other hobbies, like the only other hobby I feel like I have right now until I am able to save up money and start investing in other ones is just video editing. I do video games and I edit videos. One of those being this podcast. And I feel like I could use the podcast as a loophole and I could still do video editing. But once the podcast is finished and it's uploaded until I record another one, what else would I edit? So that would be a hard one. I would have to force myself to find other hobbies that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really enjoy reading that much unless it's like a news article that catches my eye or I just happen across a really good book. Like, it has to be a really, really good fucking book for me to enjoy it. I
Yeah.
don't really consider myself artistic outside of any kind of digital editing, so it's not like I could see myself fucking painting unless it was some kind of bullshit abstract art. So, unless I could find a really cool hobby outside of video games, I don't know if I'd be able to take that.
Yeah. I think like model painting and stuff like that, things that I can interact with, I would do, but I do like the social interaction of also the stuff maybe Magic could do, but it's not like something I could have as my hobby for all days of the week, and like a lot of those are just generally more expensive than the time I could be spending with like a lot of free video games and things. So
Well, I mean, like with the model painting, do you think she might associate that to be too close to video games?
well, if you have it with anime stuff, how about no? I would say.
Fair enough. The last she's a 10 butt that I have here is she's a 10, but she has a gambling addiction and knows your bank information.
That's just a not happening kind of thing. I ain't going bankrupt due to somebody else and not having any money around to do literally anything on my own. I don't care if they're 10.
Ugh. That's probably the most mature answer we could have gotten. I would say she can have her gambling addiction and know my bank information, but she has to be a fucking winner. Like, I'm not gonna encourage
fair. That's
gambling. I feel like there's an epidemic with all the promotion that gambling, especially online gambling, has from like a lot of streamers these days.
CS:GO stuff in case gambling with like all the CS:GO lotto sites.
But if she has a gambling addiction and she can actually fucking win and wins
That's fair.
way more than she loses, then I'm okay with that because that means we're gaining income from it.
Yeah, I didn't think about that point, but that's fair. That's a fair one.
But if she's just pissing all of my money away, fuck that.
Like
It's
if
like
they're professional gambler, I'm thinking like if they go to like poker tournaments where they're already sponsored, making money just to be there, and the winning's just a bonus, that I could accept too.
like AJ said, I ain't got no goddamn money, so.
Yeah, so they won't either when they're trying to play some more.
And then when she comes home, she's lost all the money. She catches you playing video games. She's gonna beat the shit out of you.
We don't have money. I can't afford any other hobbies, anything else. Too bad.
Down the goddamn NES controller.
I just want to play my free-to-play games. Not even that.
Fucking put that Team Fortress 2 down.
Random sidetrack thing of have you seen about the anti-cheat being created from CS:GO fans, or not CS:GO, from TF2 fans for TF2, where it's like a interconnected cheat prevention network that they work together, and it like works on the back end to like ban or like team kick any people who are known hackers on the game because of how insane it is, and Valve's doing nothing. They have to make their own anti-cheat.
Well, of course. I mean, that's how game development is these days. Game developers will make the base of a game. It will have a whole bunch of problems, and then modders and community developers will come in and fix those problems because the company has already made all their money and moved on to the next big thing.
Yep. But they're creating like an anti-cheat backend where it's like they go off of users' reports, double, triple checking, see if they're just known or suspected, and like check IP address. Like they made it themselves to do basically what a system should be doing. And then if it works and everyone has the system on their computer, the anti-cheat, they will team vote kick them. Like the fact of how much loopholes they had to go through, I'm like, damn, that's tough for that community.
That is tough, but I mean, until developers get the fucking sticks out of their asses and actually start, working on their content again. Now, I feel like that's a blanket statement for me. Not all developers are like that. The fact that I even have to fucking say that is just gross in and of itself, but some developers will work on their content and they'll keep working on it until it's fixed. And
it feels like not enough AAA ones nowadays, especially, are putting the actual time in.
And then here we have AI coming in and fucking taking over games. Now you can fucking talk to your video games and fucking play them that way.
True interaction and more open-endedness.
Here's a segment idea I came up with over the last week or so. Because, I mean, we said we were going to try to incorporate new ideas as we went along. As much shit as y'all gave me for not being able to see corn in my poop, I thought there'd be a cool segment idea to have Christian's hot takes.
Like that's a segue?
Yes, we went from TF2 anti-cheat to Christian's got hot takes.
No, it's the corn shitting being the segue.
Well, I mean, we did have a podcast idea of worst ways to get fired from a job because of AJ talking about watching porn at work.
Yeah.
So,
Anyways, yeah, okay. Sounds good. I just
but
was not, my brain was not ready for that. That's all.
fair enough. But my hot take for this episode is how I've had to learn over the last handful of years that not every relationship involves sex. And let me tell you what I mean by that. A term I've started seeing a lot more over the last years because of going on dating apps and whatnot is asexual.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I feel like a whole new horizon of the world has opened up ever since I learned that word. Because I've always looked at so many couples, and some couples just like the most boring people ever, and weirdly enough, my brain immediately goes to, I wonder what they're like in the bedroom. Because, growing up, I heard so many sex jokes and just innuendos and stuff growing up because of the kind of media that myself and people around me consumed that I was like, everybody's fucking. So I would see some people and I'm like, they seem like the most boring and bland people ever. And it makes me think of like that Family Guy joke of Stephen Hawking and his wife, having sex, and it's just them typing into their little keypad thing and going, oh, oh, oh. But
Gotcha, yeah.
because, some people are asexual, some people literally just have a happy relationship where they're happy to be with each other and they never do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I gotta tell you, sex is great. Sex is great. But it's not for everybody, so that's my hot take. You can decide whether that's worse than not ever seeing corn in my shit or not.
I'm not sure. I think the corn the shit's weirder part, honestly.
Well, I mean, I guess a good point someone made after we record the episode is, I don't actually eat that much corn compared to a lot of other people, so maybe that plays a part in it.
Like how much we talking, like when you just have one meal of corn? Like how much corn are you putting on that meal?
Well, I mean,
Like if
we
it's
only
like,
have,
say, Thanksgiving dinner.
I can't remember how often we actually eat corn at Thanksgiving. If we do, it's like corn on the cob. But my
Okay. Yeah, even
family
a
and
corn on
I,
the cob. Like, do you have a full cob then?
I'll eat half to most of the cob. I will never like clean every kernel off the cob.
Why, yeah. You don't need to clean every kernel for that, because it's not the kernels that stick around anyways.
We eat corn maybe once every in a blue moon. Like every couple of months, there might be corn on the plate, whether it's
Gotcha, yeah.
corn from a can or corn on the cob.
Same here. I don't have too much, honestly, except for like whenever HelloFresh includes it, which is not always.
Ooh, Mike, you gonna try to get us the HelloFresh sponsor?
I'm trying to get myself it at this point with streaming too. Like, damn.
That's
No, because
true.
I use it all the time, honestly. So I do enjoy HelloFresh.
Hashtag go follow Shut Your Face on Twitch.
A weird thing about HelloFresh I've learned is that I do enjoy the Canadian one more than the US one because they like have it tailored to your area where you're at and everything, since it's trying to get more fresh and more local with the ingredients as you can. So I enjoyed the stuff that they had brought here because there's quite a wide variety of actually foods in BC for what's grown. Compared to when I was down with Megan in South Carolina, where a lot of it just felt like they didn't feel like the same quality to me and everything too. Although I know some stuff shipped in from the U.S. and certain things you can't get from there, but they just get as close as they can when they can. And I just found I enjoyed the meals more here. Is the one weird thing. And the unfortunate part about the HelloFresh sponsorships, whenever they're on like the Twitch stuff, they're all US sponsorships, so I can't get any Canadian friends to help out because it's it only works for US.
All right, that is now a new goal of the Internet Bum Show is to get Mike the HelloFresh sponsor.
There you go. Yeah. And then just advertise on here, be like, hey, use this code.
That could be the running joke of the podcast.
I think it's become like almost a running joke thing in my stream half the time where I like talk about, I'm like, hey, I would like this. I would like this. Every once in a while it pops up. I'm like, yeah, me and HelloFresh. I wouldn't mind a sponsor.
That's how we'll do it. We'll close off the podcast and we'll go like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell and next to the subscribe button so you get first notes
God, I hate those comifications. Those like the notification comments at the end of videos. I hate that shit so much.
Well, I mean, I typically don't
beginning.
do them just because I can't remember to do them. Like,
Yeah.
I'll be editing and I'm like, ah, shit, I forgot to mention the bell.
Seen it all. It's in my head, and I just hate it. I never use the bell because I use my subscription feed. I don't care about getting notifications ahead of time because I only use that. I don't use like my homepage at all.
For the longest time, our YouTube channel was the only thing I actually used the bell for because I wanted to use it so I would know when a video was finished processing. Because for people that
That's
don't
fair.
do
That's fair.
YouTube, when you're uploading the video, you can't close the window. But as soon as it goes into processing mode, it's doing everything on their servers, so you can close it, shut your computer down, whatever the fuck you want to do. So sometimes if I'm doing like a longer video, like we've done a 3-hour podcast before. We did it for the councilman birthday special that one time. It took about half a day for it to process that video. So I closed down, YouTube once it was finished being uploaded, and it was almost lunchtime by the time I got a notification that the video was out. And it's because of things like that that I have the bell turned on. But ever since I've started watching more channels, and especially with like the AI present and stuff, a lot of those channels are actually really funny in my opinion. But like I said at the beginning of the episode, when you want to make good content, sometimes it takes longer, and you won't see an upload for a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month. So you start watching other things, and then stuff gets swept under the radar. And then by the time you come back to check on it, you have 3 whole episodes you haven't watched or whatever. So I like being able to see first rate content. There's also a YouTube channel that does like daily hip hop news that I'm subscribed to, and I have the notification turned on for that because they post a video almost every day.
Hip hop news, huh?
Well, yeah, just talking about like new music for some of the more famous artists, and talking about like who's top of the charts and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, weirdly enough, the artist they talk about the most is Eminem, but Eminem is constantly in the headlines in terms of like charting and stuff. Like, he's the second most streamed rapper on Spotify, and highest streamed rapper on YouTube.
Makes sense.
And constantly breaking milestones. Like, I think his latest compilation album, Curtain Call 2, surpassed like a record or something. I forget what it was. It was in today's video.
It's just a compilation album too. Like, damn.
Yep. Yeah, no kidding.
Imagine being able to live off of like just not doing anything and just live off of legacy and nothing else.
Well, that was back when I wanted to do YouTube just for the sake of making money. That was what my goal was to put out enough content that people enjoyed. Because it's like, even if someone watches your video one time and they never come back, there are some people that will see a video, tell their friends about it, and some of their friends will tell their friends about it, and it just kind of spreads like a virus, for lack of a better description.
Yeah.
So that was always my thing. It's just put out enough content to where it can kind of sustain itself, and then just like that, you're good. It's easier to do that with things like music because people will want to listen to music over and over again versus, say, a podcast where we talk about nothing but corn being in your shit and the history of your YouTube channel failures for an hour or so. But speaking of YouTube channel failures, I think we should go ahead and cut this one a little short since we had some unexpected absences and didn't really have a whole lot of content planned for tonight. So let's wrap it up with the light at the end of the tunnel. And I have a really cute one today. So this one is actually a little girl. She's, I believe, at some sort of school or something. But they're putting up emojis, and she's supposed to mimic the facial expressions and emotions of the emojis. So I will go ahead and share that with you now so you can see it, and then if I remember to, it should be on screen for anyone that is watching the podcast rather than listening.
sure hope you remember as you're going through editing.
Yeah, I know. I'll literally be listening to myself say that if I remember to edit or put it in there, it will be in here.
Mm-hmm.
The fucked up thing is there have been plenty of times over the years where I will literally say like editor's note to myself to do that, and I will still forget.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. All right, Mike, let's close this thing down so we can get out of here. You can get back to your wife, and I can start editing this puppy. What are closing words of wisdom this time?
Don't be an asshole after all of our talk more of the other stuff again.
Yeah. Just like our advice to that guy that keeps getting cheated on, just have a 12-inch cock, be
Yep.
rich, and don't be a douchebag,
Yep, there you go.
and you'll be set up for life.
Mm-hmm.
Don't call people friend when you're getting ready to mug them. With some other good words of wisdom. Oh yeah, remember to develop safe words so that when you get a phone call saying that your loved one is kidnapped, you can be like, nah, bitch, that ain't you. Hang up.
True. Actual advice this stuff.
That's your one piece of actual advice, and we didn't even come up with that.
Yep, exactly. As all pieces of advice usually are, not your own.
That's how you know that we are the Catastrophic Wingmen, because we do not give good advice. Like, subscribe, and stick around for more content where people can't show up.